New weapons. The commissioning of India's first nationally built aircraft carrier, the R-11 Vikrant, is an important and welcome step in the development of India's aircraft carrier capabilities. At the same time, it was a reminder of the limits of these capabilities and the challenges of building them further. Vikrant was laid as early as 2009, but its construction has been delayed for various reasons. Nevertheless, the completion of the project certainly represents a significant achievement for the Indian naval industry, and the aircraft carrier itself is the largest ship built in the country. Ultimately, its commissioning may be well-timed, given New Delhi's growing concern about China's growing naval presence in the Indian Ocean. However, with a total displacement of about 45,000 tons, Vikrant is an average aircraft carrier by modern standards. This limits the ship's air group to about 30 aircraft and helicopters, reducing its ability to conduct both defensive and offensive air operations simultaneously. The new ship joins the R-33 Vikramaditya in the Indian Navy, built in 1987 as the Soviet aircraft carrier cruiser Baku, later renamed Admiral of the Fleet of the Soviet Union Gorshka, and in 2013 joined the Indian Navy in a heavily modified form. Thus, India today is one of the few countries operating more than one aircraft carrier. The others are China, the UK and the US. However, with a similar total displacement of about 45,000 tons, the Vikramaditya's ability to accommodate aircraft is even more limited than that of the new ship. Both ships are also limited by the fact that they are configured for short takeoff and aerofinish landing, STOBAR, using ramps instead of catapults, which limits the range and payload of aircraft operating from their decks. In addition, Vikrant is noticeably constrained by the number of aircraft elevators, further limiting the types of aircraft that can be accommodated in the ship's hangar. Vikramaditya suffers from similar limitations. Another practical limitation is the number of deck aircraft actually available to the Indian Navy to equip the two ships. The Indian Navy has 43 MiG-29K fighters divided into two squadrons. A bidding process is underway to procure an additional 26 deck combat aircraft. It includes Boeing F-18 Super Hornet and Dassault Rafale M. The Indian Navy's experience with MiG-29K fighters is mixed, including in terms of maintenance and combat readiness. The original request in the 2017 tender for a new deck fighter was for 57 aircraft, but that number was reduced in 2021 as the Indian Navy appears to have revised its procurement strategies. It appears that the MiG-29K fighters will remain in service until about 2035, until they are replaced by a new type of aircraft, which has not yet been selected. Indian aircraft industry officials continue to harbor hopes of developing their own carrier-based fighter despite the initial failure of the Tejas maritime version of the light combat aircraft. Nevertheless, the transfer of a new aircraft carrier to the Indian Navy represents a serious investment in India's future. Although the country has considerable experience with aircraft carrier operations using two former British ships, the first Vikrant and Virat, some observers continue to question the need for such capabilities. Nevertheless, when both current aircraft carriers are fully operational, they will potentially significantly increase India's ability to perform both maritime control and force projection tasks in the Indian Ocean and beyond. Aircraft carriers also enhance the Indian Navy's ability to operate independently in the world's oceans. Perhaps just as importantly, aircraft carriers will increase India's potential contribution to multilateral naval formations with the country's partners, including France, Japan, Britain, and the United States. Comparing the capabilities of the Indian fleet with the Chinese, it is worth noting that Beijing already has two aircraft carriers of 65 to 70,000 tons gross tonnage in STOBAR configuration. In addition, the first aircraft carrier designed for trampoline takeoff, CATOBAR, was launched in July. With an estimated total displacement of 85,000 tons, it is closer to competing with U.S. Navy aircraft carriers in size and capability. New ships are expected that could also be equipped with nuclear power units, and Beijing is thought to be aiming for 6 aircraft carriers by the 2030s. At the moment, however, Beijing is rather cautious about deploying its aircraft carriers for long-range operations. But that could change. Nevertheless, India's new aircraft carriers are likely to strengthen its ability to deter a potential enemy, as well as its ability to carry out maritime control and interdiction missions in the Indian Ocean. The Indian Navy also continues to harbor ambitions to build its own larger ramp-to-water aircraft carrier with a total displacement of 65,000 tons in order to realize the idea of a grouping of 3 aircraft carriers. The creation of such a new ship is likely to be facilitated by U.S. technological know-how and the support of other partners, notably France and Great Britain. However, it is unlikely to bear fruit before the next decade. The prospects for such a concept are likely to depend on the experience and lessons learned from the operation of the 2 ships currently in the Indian Navy, especially the last one put into service. Don't forget to subscribe to the New Weapons channel. Goodbye, everyone.